We're recording.
Testing 1, 2.
Speak for yourself. Or being live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Troy City Council. The Finance Committee is meeting. It is right about 6 o'clock, and I ask you to please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Councilmember Keel,
Present.
Councilmember Brosnan,
Here.
Councilmember McLaren,
Present.
Councilmember Vera,
Present.
Councilmember Soriento,
Here.
Councilmember Casey,
Here.
and Council President Steele, all present and accounted for. At this point in time, we have a number of ordinances on our agenda this evening and 2 resolutions. The agendas are in the back of the chambers if you're interested. But at this point, this public forum is for public comment on any agenda item. So if there's anything on the agenda that you would like to discuss this evening, please feel free to come forward, give your name, your residence. Speak to Ryan. Ryan, what's the thermostat? Does anyone wish to speak during the public forum? Okay, hearing none, we'll move right along with our agenda. Ordinance 73, ordinance transferring funds within the 2024 general fund. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the resolution. No discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance is adopted 7-0. Ordinance 74, ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid water charges onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the ordinance.
Council President,
Councilmember Vera.
I was just curious if how this total compares to previous years. 2.1 million in unpaid water charges.
This one goes out. Thank you. All right, 2023. I'll go down the list, might as well. Water, 1.972 rounded to, this year 2.1. 2023 vacant buildings, $500,000, 500, 500,100. 2024, 469, 750. 2023 shop work, $36,210. 2024, 55,731. Garbage, 786,000. Rounded. This year, 899,000, almost 900. Garbage fines, 165,936 in 2023. That combines bulk pickup. 2024, 247,600. We'll round it to. Demo. I did talk to Rick on this one because there's a huge 2023, $848,739. Haskell School was half of that, so about 400K we had to re-levy. And then 2024, we have 115,220. I know you're going to follow up and say, okay, because this was me also, are there more people getting our garbage service? And that's why a higher number who didn't pay, et cetera. I have not analyzed it yet, so I'm going to be really honest. In terms of the garbage, the fines in the bulk pickup, I can honestly say that that is attributed to our quality of life action task force. There's no doubt some of the multi-units, you should know, some lots literally had $8,000-9,000 worth of cleanup. It was just piles of debris and garbage, and we give the 48 hours, obviously, and they didn't clean it, so our folks will go in after a certain period of time. We'll clean it, we'll charge, obviously, the rate, sanitation, et cetera, and then the bags, et cetera. So, but in terms of the straight out garbage, not the violations for the bulk pickup in the garbage, the straight out, I have to analyze that 110K increase. And remember, the levies, if they don't pay their taxes 3 years, it goes on our foreclosed property list. And then we put it up for auction.
Mayor, could you go?
Sure.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, well, I think I was gonna ask the same follow-up question. Yeah, can you just go through the 23 numbers one more time?
I'm so
In
sorry.
the order of the
Sure.
ordinances?
Yeah. Oh, order of the ordinance.
Yeah, so I heard,
Okay.
the water
Yep,
charges,
unpaid water, 1.972465.
Yep.
Yeah. 2023. Vacant, 500,100.
okay,
Then I'll go, I apologize, solid waste management fees, the garbage, 786,068. And then we'll go bulk and garbage is 165,936. Demos, 848,739. And then we'll go to the water and sewer shop work, which is basically when we tap for private residents, et cetera, work that we do, if they don't pay it. And that can sometimes range 7 to 10K to tap for commercial business, et cetera. If they don't pay, we re-levy it, and that is 36,210. So I would attribute the 55 that we probably tapped more privates or commercials and they didn't pay. But the garbage, I do want to look in that 110,000 re-levy. It could be, we did have more folks sign up for garbage pickup this year. So it could be that, but then they didn't pay. But I do plan to analyze that number.
I know there was a concern regarding bulk pickup. Has there been a change to the code to bring this up to date, the practice, so that practice meets code?
The code hasn't changed. The 2025, you will see the online in terms of the cubic yards and per item with the 2 cubic yards, the truckload, that will change, and Joe's looking at that, but we'll let folks know. In terms of the person that wrote in, I know Joe's looking into that.
So was that a broader problem, though, not just an isolated incident, but an instance where we were?
Not that I've seen. That was the first that I heard, the past one.
Because I'm wondering if that could be attributed, to perhaps why some of these folks are not paying because they were.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I can tell you, we would have received numerous calls, believe me. We only, that would have been in the fines in the bulk pickup. And we would have been bombarded with calls. So that category would fall under the fines in the bulk pickup. The one that honestly, jumps out at me is the 113 jump of the garbage. And that's when I want to look at the solid waste fee to see how many people were on it last year compared to this year. Because we, as I had stated, we are going to do a complete overhaul in terms of looking at our full solid waste management system, bulk pickup, trash pickup, garbage fines, and the garbage fee. The goal is to phase out the garbage fee, but in order to do that, we need to get back to step one to really take a holistic look citywide.
Council President,
Councilman Vera.
on the topic of the garbage fee, my understanding is a letter went out to multifamily property owners stating that the city would no longer provide garbage pickup. Do you want to comment on that?
No, that was the fair share. So a
Okay.
letter went out to the downtown fair share. Let's take a step back. The prior deputy mayor put a pilot program with the fair share program,
Mhm.
about 140 properties downtown who have more than 3 units were getting city pickup. The unfortunate thing, the pilot program continued. A letter went out, which shouldn't have gone out. We did receive a few calls. Joe Mazzarello, our general services, called back. I think it was, how many, Joe? 5 or 6 folks? Okay. Joe called each one back. We are not instituting that change.
Okay.
Somebody jumped the gun, should never have done that, because the code does state 3 or more units, you have to get a private service. So any dwelling out there, if you have 3 or more units, you're mandated by our code to get a private service. In the downtown, a fair share program, a pilot program was instituted, implemented, which allowed those 3 or more units to use the city. Some did, some didn't. Saying that the 140 got a letter that the city, that they would all have to go private. That is not the case. The letter shouldn't have gone out. And so saying that when and if we do that in the downtown, there will be appropriate communication and discussion.
So this is just my recollection
Yeah.
from the budget, and I don't have it in front of me. Did that fair share number jump though? I thought we were like 660 or that
I'm not
number jumps
sure.
out to me. I
don't
thought
have
that,
it in
yeah.
front of me. We can.
But
double
you're saying
that.
only 140 notices went
Correct.
out? Okay.
Correct.
The other thing is that the section of code, I thought said, at the end of that section, it said that, anyone that currently has garbage pickup from the city, that would continue except for non-payment, or I think it says other lawful reasons. I'm not sure what that entails. But is the end goal to move them to private pickup?
We're not there
You're
yet.
not
We
there
have
yet,
to
okay.
do a total, honestly. And that's why when I heard about this and Joe came into our office on Monday morning, we're not going to do this without looking at it as a whole. We're not going to do piecemeal. We're not going to do the downtown separately, et cetera. It's going to be a full-fledged, but we need to take a step back, folks, in council, because there's so many barrels out there. I mean, drive down Oakwood Ave, there's one house with like 4 units that has 8 barrels. Initially, when I first came in, I wanted to completely, hit these homes, et cetera. We can't do that because what will happen is, we all know sanitation is very precious to folks. I don't want to start taking barrels away without really doing a full-fledged inventory. So when the barrel programs, council president knows we appropriate for the new members $1 million for barrels for everyone. What happened, they had a list and the private company was doling out the barrels. The private company literally after a week threw out the list and just started looking at homes and dropping barrels. My mother's home, I'll give you an example, a 1 unit already has 2 barrels. They left 2 barrels. It was insane. Tom Abbott, the supervisor at the time, went around and he did what he could, but it was all piecemeal. So we still have so many folks out there, some who have private, who still have city barrels, some who have like 6 units and have like 10 barrels. They should be going private. We don't want to pick and choose. It just wouldn't be fair. We don't want to piecemeal. We want to literally look at the whole solid waste and any of the council members that has ideas, we're open. But the solid waste fee and our whole pickup, et cetera, and charging, it needs to be looked at holistically. And we do plan to first take an inventory, go through the list, literally physically send folks out there street by street and really, do the right thing here. But at the same time, continue keeping our streets clean, but, work with folks to get them more into compliance, et cetera.
So last question on that
Sure.
topic. Will notices, revised notices be going out to let people know to disregard the
We
first
did
notice?
talk about that, and yes, they
Okay,
will.
excellent.
So, yep,
Thank you, Mayor.
thank you.
Council President,
Councilmember Keel?
I'm curious to know if it was owner occupied, would there be a special allowance just to say, you could have 3 or 4 units rather than just the, 2 units we're limiting it to now?
We could look at that. We could
Okay.
look at the code. We could. Right now, it's 3 or more units, owner occupied or not owner occupied. We could look at that. So
Alright,
that's why,
that makes a difference.
please,
Owner
all of you, if you have ideas, good or bad, we want to hear them before we undertake this measure.
Okay.
Okay. But it's got to be fixed.
I'd like to circle back to the letter.
Mhm.
That's concerning to me that a letter could be drafted, reproduced, stuffed, stamped, and mailed without apparently folks knowing about it.
No, the department did it, Council President. So essentially, the person that oversees the billing did it. And the person that oversees the billing, he did do the right thing. He looked at the code. The problem was the fair share program is still in place. He didn't realize that. So
Well,
he oversees the department, though, the person who literally does the property bills, does the garbage bills, et cetera. So it's not just, like somebody did a letter, stuffed it, et cetera. It's a person that just was, we'll say, overly ambitious that sent a letter out, and the code does say that, but the person didn't know that there's a fair share program. So it's being rectified. It's a mistake and nothing malicious, and nobody told the employee to do that. So it's being fixed.
Okay, any other questions?
Council President.
Councilmember McLaren?
So like you said, without analyzing this whole list, one thing in particular jumped out at me is like an apartment complex that, the Fairway Woods, I think it's called, on Oakwood Avenue. Like
Yep.
they have
Oh, yeah.
huge outstanding bills.
Yeah,
I
they
know.
don't pay them. They're gonna get re-levied in 3 years. The property's going to be ours. You'll find, believe me, I went through these while I was council president. The council president will tell you, like, that's probably why your eyes aren't popping overhead. It's your
Mhm.
first time. Some of the people that don't pay their bills it is unheard of, but you will see, once they are re-levied, the following year, they do tend to pay. Some You should know I did ask, now I am recollecting. The prior comptroller actually would say some commercial establishments prefer the re-levy. They don't want to pay the cash, et cetera, and they prefer it being re-levied and then just come in and pay the taxes when it's tax time. Yep.
Thank you.
Did delinquent letters go out to these folks throughout the year?
Oh, yeah, yes.
How, can you estimate how many?
We can get back to you, but I know the letters did go out. Yep. And the person that oversees that is the same person, but the letters did go out. Yes.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We were on ordinance 74. We had a motion and a second. We've discussed. All in
Yeah.
favor?
Aye.
Opposed? 7-0. Ordinance 75, ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid vacant building fees onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Farah. Discussion on the resolution, on the ordinance. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 75 adopted 7-0. Ordinance 76. Ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid solid waste management fees onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilman Keel. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Resolution ordinance 76 is adopted 7-0. Ordinance 77. Ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid bulk pickup fees and garbage fines onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 77 is adopted. Ordinance 78, ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid demolition charges onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 78 is adopted unanimously. Ordinance 79, ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid charges for water and sewer shop work services onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 79 is adopted unanimously. Ordinance 80. Ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid legal fees onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento. Do I have a second?
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance 80 is adopted unanimously. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution 160, resolution authorizing the mayor enter into a sub-recipient agreement with TAP Inc. It should be all caps, I believe. To allow the city to receive a HUD community project funding grant for construction of a community piazza at the historic Little Italy Marketplace. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'm going to give it to Councilmember Soriento with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion.
Yeah, I would, Council President. I'd like to be a sponsor.
Council President Steele.
Clerk- Yes,
I
clerk,
think-
would you notice that we have,
This year, if you have questions.
right. Did you hear, clerk, that Councilmember Vera would like to be a co-sponsor of that? Did you have a question, Councilman?
Oh, yeah, but I think Deputy Mayor, Seamus Donnelly had some remarks on this from
I
the little.
thought that was, I'm sorry, I thought that was happening during.
Oh, we could do that.
Public comment, but if you want to do it now.
We could do it now. Or then.
Thank you. Taking my deputy mayor hat off, I am still a proud member of the Quality of Life Committee in Little Italy that has worked tremendously hard on this project and getting it to where it is. Our co-facilitators, Sam Chapone and Heather Hamlin Martin, are unable to be here tonight to show the support. So they did ask me to read a letter to the council. So, dear council members, as co-facilitators of the QLC in Little Italy, we would like to take this opportunity to express our strong support for the market resolutions 160 and 161, which involves securing necessary funding and government agency approvals to move this project forward. Due to prior commitment, we are unable to personally deliver this message. However, we have asked Seamus Donnelly, a long QLC member, to represent us and deliver this message on our behalf. This market project has a long history of discussions, ideas, and plans to transform this limited use open space into a vibrant community gathering space for both the Little Italy neighborhood and all city residents. It is a project that holds great promise for enriching the cultural, social, and business fabric of our community. Our Quality of Life Committee is honored to serve as stewards of the history of this space for a period spanning decades. A dedicated, enthusiastic group of community members has worked to keep the market as a gathering place for the community. We have decorated for the holidays, improved the space with picnic tables, maintained the bocce courts, and coordinated events such as neighborhood garage sales, festivals, farmers markets, movie nights, and many other events. We remain committed to learning from that history, engaging with current neighborhood input, and collaborating with our elected officials to create an improved vision for the gathering space. We are excited to see this vision become a reality, and this resolution is a critical step toward the success of the project. This is truly a transformational project for our neighborhood. Our entire QLC and the Little Italy community will continue to work through the process and eagerly look forward to the completion of this project, which will benefit not only our neighborhood, but the entire city. We would be remiss if we attempted to name all those past and present who have supported this project. You know, as we do, who you are. However, we must take a moment to acknowledge and thank our current and past elected officials and city administrators for their steadfast support and attention to our requests. We would also like to recognize TAP Inc. and Labella Associates for their engineering and design guidance in supporting this project. We look forward to continuing our involvements in the planning and discussion surrounding the outcome of this project. We sincerely hope the council will offer its support for this resolution. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, the members of the Little Italy Quality of Life Committee. The only two people that I would feel remiss not adding here is my friends, God rest their souls, Michael Esposito and Marion Fields, who truly many years ago started, making sure that the rest of the city realized the character of the Little Italy neighborhood, and it's fascinating to see how quite far it's come. So thank you.
Thank you, Seamus. Does anyone wish to comment? Discuss? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Did you want to comment? You had your mouth open as I was calling the vote.
I'm just going to explain that this agreement is a little bit unusual. Here, mine is on. Normally, the city would be the grant recipient. In this case, for reasons that have never been sufficiently explained to me, TAP is the grant recipient, and therefore we need the subrecipient agreement, which you have just passed, to access the grant. And TAP is going to take a modest administration fee, and for which they've already done some work and will be doing some more.
Thank you. We did vote on that and it was, resolution 160 was adopted unanimously. Resolution 161, resolution declaring the Troy City Council lead agency for review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, of a project to redevelop the Little Italy Marketplace, tax parcel number 101.69-12-1 between Liberty and Washington Streets. Councilmember Casey, at the request of the administration. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion on the resolution? All in
Council-
favor?
oh.
Oh, no, Councilmember McLaren.
I was just gonna ask that, what happened in the past where we were asked to actually, vote on the type of seeker, that, we get all of the information that we see the environmental review, before before being asked to rule on it.
So you're not being asked to declare whether to make a negative or positive declaration
Right.
today.
Right.
And some work has already been done by Labella. We were going to provide the council with that before the next meeting.
Okay.
And
Perfect. That's all I was
is
asking.
that all?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 161 is adopted unanimously. That concludes our agenda of the Finance Committee. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Motion. Councilmember Brosnan, seconded by Councilmember Soriento. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. If it's okay, we'll run right into our special meeting.
Please.
For everyone here and watching, we are now going to move into a special meeting to pretty much act on what we just did. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Keel.
Here.
Councilmember Brosnan.
Here.
Councilmember Spain McLaren.
Present.
Councilmember Vera.
Present.
Councilmember Soriento. Here. Councilmember Casey.
Here.
Council President Steele.
Present.
All are present.
As I mentioned, the agenda is pretty much what we just went through. But we have at this point the opportunity for anyone present to comment on that, any one of these items. So is there anyone now who would be interested in speaking? Seeing none, we'll move along. Ordinance 73.
Ordinance 73, ordinance transferring funds within the 2024 general fund. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
We have a motion.
Motion.
Councilmember Soriento, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 73 passes.
Ordinance 74.
Ordinance 74, ordinance authorizing the re-levy of unpaid water charges onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 74 passes.
Ordinance 75.
Ordinance 75, ordinance authorizing the relevy of unpaid vacant building fees onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Vero, second.
Second.
Councilman Brosnan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 75 passes.
Ordinance 76.
Ordinance 76, ordinance authorizing the relevy of unpaid solid waste management fees onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 76 passes.
Ordinance 77.
Ordinance 77, ordinance authorizing the relevy of unpaid bulk pickup fees and garbage fines onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Keel. Second.
Second.
Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 77 passes.
Ordinance 78.
Ordinance 78, ordinance authorizing the relevy of unpaid demolition charges onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan,
Second.
second by Councilmember McLaren. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 78 passes.
Ordinance 79.
Ordinance 79, ordinance authorizing the relevy of unpaid charges for water and sewer shop work services onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Keel. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos.
Ordinance 80.
Yeah. Hold on. Stuck together. Ordinance 80, ordinance authorizing the relevy of unpaid legal fees onto the 2025 property tax bills. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember McLaren. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Ordinance 80 passes.
Resolutions, resolution 160.
Resolution 160, resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a subrecipient agreement with TAP Incorporated to allow the city to receive a HUD community project funding grant for construction of a community piazza at the historic Little Italy Marketplace. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration and also Councilmember Vera.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Councilmember Brosnan, second.
Second.
Councilmember Soriento. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 160 passes.
Resolution 161.
Resolution 161, resolution declaring the Troy City Council lead agency for review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act seeker of a project to redevelop Little Italy Marketplace tax parcel number 101.69-12-1 between Liberty and Washington Streets. Councilmember Casey at the request of the administration.
Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I'm going to give it to Councilmember McLaren with a second by Councilmember Brosnan. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
7 ayes, 0 nos. Resolution 161 passes.
That concludes our agenda. At this point in time, we have a public forum that is open to anyone who wishes to comment on any item. Please come forward.
Latasha Gardner. I'm a CSCA member, City of Troy employee for over 22 years. I just want to remind the council that I have been an essential worker from the start. When everyone else got a chance to stay home and do their work from Zoom, we were here, we showed up. I want to just remind everyone, when the infrastructure bill was passed by the federal government and the city of Troy received money for improvements to the infrastructure, I want to remind everyone that the infrastructure was also supposed to include the human resources, which are the backbone of this city. So it's not just for the potholes, not just for certain neighborhood groups, but the people that run this city are also part of the infrastructure that supports this city. I encourage you to support us in our fight for a fair and equitable contract. As of December 31st of this year, we're at the end of our contract. Come New Year, guess what we have? Increase in taxes. I'm a property tax owner in this city. We have an increase for the water/sewer bills. And then right before Thanksgiving, we received a love note stuffed into our paycheck that said, oh, by the way, your insurance rates are going up. So with less than 10 days notice, we received an increase, a notification for increase in our health insurance. And guess what? We don't have an increase in pay to pay for those things. I would like to just stress that it's not just for me. I'm looking to retire soon, hopefully, but I'm looking to bring up this next generation that's going to be providing those services for you. So when you call, when your constituents are calling saying, my garbage didn't get picked up, how do I, dispute this bill or whatever that is at City Hall, you need to remember that essential workers are not just police and fire. We're the ones that answer the phones when you come to these counters, asking questions about your bills, processes about how to, bring forth any other new projects. I want you to just remember that. CSCA, thank you.
Thank you, Latasha. Does anyone else wish to address the council during public forum? Please come forward.
Good evening, council. My name is Nyquin Grant. Just bear with me. I'm kind of nervous. I've never done this before. I spoke to Councilman Casey the other day about parking tickets. There's a little misunderstanding. I've been in South Troy on 4th and Tyler, just under Tyler Street for about over a year now, and I've been parking half my car on the sidewalk only because it's dangerous getting in and out of my car. I've been receiving several tickets for the past few months and a threat to have a boot on my car because I'm parking. Me and my fellow neighbors were getting ticketed for just trying to be safe. It's probably an eyesore to when you're passing through on the city, but it is unsafe. I even have a video of how unsafe it actually is getting in and out. I don't have to show you guys, but it's available. It is very difficult getting out with kids and groceries. And I just propose that we put like maybe a speed bump there if we got to park in on the actual street because it's narrow. I just want people to slow down when I'm getting in and out. It's just very dangerous. It's very dangerous. And I just felt like it was just unfair to just have no warning of that because I would have gladly parked my car in the street if I had to do that. I'd rather not get tickets, especially around Christmas and stuff. But that was it. Just the parking issue. Thank you, guys.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
Does anyone else wish to speak? Is the mayor in the room? Mayor, I just wondered if you could brief the council on where we are with the hiring of a controller.
Good evening again. We've narrowed it down to two folks, one with a little more outside, one with a little more government. We'll keep the council posted. It's, believe me, I have spoken to other municipal officials, leaders all throughout the state. We're all pulling from a very small pool. There aren't a lot of accountants out there. Talk to any accounting firm. They're in the hunt for accountants. Talk to the state comptroller's office, which we keep the state comptroller's office up to speed on where we are, et cetera. We did file for council members, just knowledge, and you'll get a copy of it. The AFR was filed yesterday. That's our annual financial report. It was filed yesterday with the state comptroller's office. Additionally, our audit is underway, as you know, so that should be hopefully finalized within the next few weeks, couple weeks. Obviously, then we bring Bonadio in, they'll go through the audit and answer any questions, et cetera. So we have narrowed it down. We're not just going to hire anyone. The person, obviously needs to have a good knowledge of government experience, at the same time needs to be a good fit, and also needs to be able to sit in front of the council, talk to the council, provide quarterly reports, et cetera. More importantly, as I mentioned, other municipalities are struggling hiring comptrollers. I'm not sure if the state at some point will look at this. There is a crisis out there. There is a shortage of comptrollers out there. So saying that, the good news, as I mentioned, we have narrowed it down, but, we know that the right person needs to be in the position, the right fit. I really have to applaud our comptroller's office, the team. They're phenomenal. You should also know the implementation of Tyler has really become a focus of our interviews, because when you mention KVS, the comptrollers out there have no idea what KVS is. It's a 1980s, 1990s. When we mention it, they look at us and they gloss over. KVS is so outdated that the people that run KVS are eventually, it's going to be extinct. The people that run KVS, they're losing them, they're retiring, and folks, don't know how to operate it. So eventually it's going to be extinct. The good news, the council authorized us to sign the contract with Tyler. So they'll be in-house starting in January, and we'll get them underway, but it will be a 12 to 18 month. Tonight, we just interviewed someone for comptroller from another municipality. No idea what KVS is. And I'm not sure if, the majority of people out there, it does intimidate a person coming in, not knowing the system. They're on Tyler, this particular community. He knew all about Tyler, but he is concerned about not knowing KVS. It took BST a couple months or 4 to 5 weeks to get familiar with KVS. So it really is problematic, more of a problem than we realize. This has truly been an education for all of us. But, and as I mentioned, the people in the comptroller's office, some know parts of it, but no one knows the whole system. The only two people I think that knew the whole system was Joe Mazzarillo's father, who was here for 20 some odd years, and obviously the prior comptroller. But the good news, we think we have found maybe a person, but we'll keep the council posted, and we hope to go into 2025 with a comptroller. But do know BST has just been phenomenal. They have been reconciling our bank statements. They finished the AFR. You should know the AFR that was filed. ProNexus basically threw KVS out the window and developed their own system, but kept KVS, obviously, because we have KVS. They tried to do it their way with KVS. When they filed the AFR, as you know, it was filed with some numbers that were not accurate, some fund balances. So BST literally had to extract journal entries, et cetera, that were done by ProNexus and re-input them. A lot of work went into it, but the good news, we're where we need to be. And it was filed and our audit is underway for 2023. I can assure the council 2025 RFR will be filed before the end of April. So
Thank you. It's good to
Yep.
hear. Speaking of BST, if we go into 2025 without a controller, is it the intention to keep BST on? And if so, what's the plan?
Yep, we'll keep the council posted. The plan is to hire a comptroller, but we will keep the council posted. BST's contract does not expire at the end of 2024. But saying that, the idea is to break loose from BST and have a comptroller, but BST will have to at least provide some guidance to whoever the new person, because there is not a new person that is going to know KVS. So they are going to have to at least get that person accustomed to KVS.
Will that require a budget transfer then? Because
I am not sure
I don't
where we
believe
are
we
with the
budgeted
funds.
for BST.
We will come back to the council if necessary. Yep.
Council President.
Yeah, Councilman Vera.
Mhm.
Mayor, how many, well, let me start at the beginning. Several emergency declarations were issued, mostly towards the beginning of 24. How many of those remain in effect at this point?
Yep, the Eddie's Lane pump station is still into effect. Spring obviously has been closed. The other emergency deck, I think we have one other, the demo, they're finished. So the only one that is in place is Eddie's Lane. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yes.
Councilmember Keel?
Since you're still on the hot seat here.
I don't mind. I don't mind.
I'm
If I
just-
can't answer,
job.
I'll get back
It's
to
your
you.
job.
I'd like to know what light can be shed on relocating to a building that's going to be a more permanent structure for the home.
Can you repeat? Sorry, I didn't hear
Okay.
the first part.
Just looking for you to shed some light on where we're at and finding a more permanent structure for our city hall home.
Sure. So City Hall, we have narrowed it down, as you know, to take a step back. We received 8 proposals. We narrowed it down to 4. It is now narrowed down to 2. I must tell you, the 8 proposals, some really cool out of the box ideas geographically, represented everywhere from Berg to North Central to downtown. Some really unique out of the box proposals. We hope to come to the council and have an announcement mid to late January. We're now meeting because we all know it comes down to financial. Big part of this, we are paying close to $600,000 for our temporary space here annually. So if you think about it, if it is about 10 mil, it'll be paid for in, 13, 14 years. But saying that, not to throw out numbers, but we are paying a lot of money for this temporary space. It's not permanent. If you talk to First Columbia, they'll tell you this was supposed to be temporary, and that was, 12, 13 years ago. The 2, while I can't get into details just because it wouldn't be fair to the proposals and could hurt negotiations, we are sitting down with their finance teams. They both have a financial team. And so we will be sitting down with their financial teams over the next 2 weeks. And as I stated, we hope to have an announcement come to the council in mid to late January.
Thank you.
Speaking of First Columbia, have you resolved the issues of the lease agreement yet?
I believe so. Rick,
Are we?
the
paying-
lease agreement
We
with
haven't
First
been, we haven't
Columbia.
been paying our full share.
Well, there's a very big dispute there and we are in the right. The lease with First Columbia. Council President's asking how we resolve.
So it is not resolved yet. We have an open dispute with them. Before Dana left, she met with Sneeringer, who is the attorney for First Columbia. And but that's where it is right now. It's still a disagreement.
Thank you. All right, I'd entertain a motion. Any other questions?
If you did want a quick, so you don't have to read about it because Erica did do an interview and tomorrow I'm doing an interview at the end of the year. There is one other really major project, One Monument Square, as you know, $19 million toward the prior project. John McDonald has facilitated meetings with the governor regarding that site. There will be some component of housing, but it might not be necessarily at that site. So it could be adjacent to the site of some sort, but maybe not on the site. Number two, we are in discussions, as I mentioned, with the governor's office. And once again, we want to thank John for facilitating that. But stay tuned. We are hopeful to hopefully break ground there sometime before spring or late spring. I did. Yep, thank you. Deputy Mayor just stated, remind that the AFR has been filed and we'll circulate a copy to council members, but it is online at the comptroller's office and was certified. Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
I think we have a unanimous. I'm not sure who. There was another. Okay. Please state your name.
Rodney Dukes. I wasn't gonna speak, but Tasha, she twisted my arm to come up here and speak. So I just want to make everyone aware what was going on as far as like there's been a lack of diversity in especially our entertainment and culture and stuff throughout the year. So we've been trying to break that wall down. So we were supposed to perform at the Victorian Stroll this year. Our group we were contracted, everything was set. And not only did we not perform, but we were not also giving the professionalism or courtesy of letting us know that we weren't going to perform. So, which is a huge letdown for not only the city, for City Hall, for and also our people and the people that support us as well. And this is not the first time that it's happened as well. It also happened at Troy Glow that we were supposed to perform. And not only did we not get the information back, it was just never referred to us till after the fact. We got the apology after that we weren't supposed to go. So I don't know, just going forward, hopefully we can address these issues and get something going where there is the dialogue and the communication for that. And also, as I told KP, Kevin Pryor, and I told a bunch of people, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going away. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Just want to follow up on that also. Completely unacceptable. We have asked the chamber to come to a meeting where I plan to be present. Kevin Pryor called Norris, the head of the chamber, and informed him that we are not happy with what ended up happening here. None of us, obviously, in the city knew. Kevin Kevin told us the next day what happened to Mr. Dukes and the band and the folks that were supposed to perform. They had them down by the Rock. First of all, the Rock on a Sunday, if you're a Bills fan, we all know you can't have a band in the Rock when a Bills game's on, when a Bills game is on. Secondly, it was supposed to be part of the Victorian Stroll. They did extend the stroll down to the Rock this year, but we all know the hub of the stroll is by Monument Square. So what transpired, we are not happy at all. We're a big supporter of the Victorian Stroll. We did not know anything about this. So Kevin and myself have called Norris. We do plan to meet, and Mr. Dukes is also invited to that meeting. It was supposed to happen this past week. It didn't, but it's unacceptable because, you know, we're literally doing everything humanly possible to have more diversity, especially downtown in the stroll. Not, I didn't know about Troy Glow. That's the first I heard about that, but Kevin has worked really hard, and we really thought that this was a great addition. And frankly, it did not happen, and it's unacceptable. So, thank you.
Okay, I think we had several motions to adjourn. So I'm going to say
Motion.
that
We did that, guys.
Quick.
all in favor,
Aye.
opposed, we're adjourned.